Hello. Today we're going to be doing current events. I took a deep dive into a few subjects and I'm going to share that with you. Hopefully you'll find that interesting. Kevin McCarthy and his weakness to be a man and lead. So I looked into his energy and found out what was really going on with him. Looked into Elon Musk, got into his energy and saw it from his perspective, and because his satellites and all the power he wields, was worried about that. So I looked into that. The writers and actors strike. I wanted to see, will there be a reconciliation or a resolving of that anytime soon? It seems kind of really sad. Jimmy Fallon and his apology. I wanted to see what the situation was, what the source was for that, and how he's doing or his energy around it. And then Alex Murdaugh. That trial was fascinating to me, scary and horrible and sad, but he's asking for a new trial because the clerk of the court supposedly impacted or she spoke to the jurors and they were influenced by what she said. That's what he's asking for a new trial. That's why he's asking for a new trial. So I wanted to get into those. Come with me. Thanks. Here we go. First of all, thank you to all my new subscribers. I've gained a few. Very exciting. Also, thank you to all of you who share or like, thumbs up. Even those who just say thank you. I love that. I appreciate it. So first things first, I'm going to look in Elon Musk, or I already did. And his energy, I noticed, so I'm going to describe the visuals that I get. His energy was very stiff. I felt like he had armor, but a thin armor. It wasn't thick like the knight. It was thin, but it was metal. And I didn't feel like, it was almost like he was a robot. But then when I felt like a robot, he wasn't that austere of a robot. But he is real rigid. I also felt like he was angry. I felt like he was angry about something. Life. It's like he carries it with him. It wasn't about at a person right now. It's just he carries this general anger. And I know he had a rough childhood. His father was really abusive. Maybe that stems from that. Well, it's kind of hard not to. And then I saw that he had a fleeting happy thought. And the satellites, apparently, that's the part that I worried about. The satellites to him are just a business and not a power move, but a way to control the situation, all the situations. And he's trying to do a bunch of different things because he is so highly intelligent. And so what I felt was that he isn't using the satellites to manage things. Like I know with Ukraine, supposedly he turned them off when they were going to start an offensive strike into Russia, but the real situation was they weren't even activated, and they wanted him to activate these satellites so Ukraine could use drones, and he wouldn't do that because he was worried that was going to turn into World War III. Not his call really, but he has that power. So it wasn't that he turned them off; he just didn't turn them on to get that whole thing started. I also saw that in the future, he has I think 12 kids now with a variety of women. And I kept thinking of Marlon Brando. I don't know if anybody remembers Marlon Brando, but he had a bunch of kids with a variety of women. I mean, that happens more and more now, but that's the vibe I got. Like somebody that's Howard Hughesy, kind of living on his island somewhere, kind of thing. Anyway, so I did see in the future some sort of possibility, these satellites or some sort of mechanism, electronic surface to air signals, whatever those are, some sort of vehicle that is electric or some in that type, where it doesn't run on gas, obviously, but there's a whole network of moving vehicles, and they're small. It's kind of like if you imagine a tiny monorail. And I know that is like a whole structure, but that's the picture I got. It's like these tiny little, like smart cards, but skinny. And and I think he's imagining something like this. I could totally be wrong. Quite possible, but that's what I'm getting, is that he's trying to do things to better the planet in his own way, and that's in his head. And I think that's one of the ideas, to get us moving around without using cars and roads and gas. And it is about him making money. It's not that he's not going to enjoy making money, but that's a product of his experimenting. And I think the thing with Twitter was just because he was angry and he wanted to control again. He likes to control because of his anger. I'm sure it's just because his father bullied him. Anyway, that's Elon Musk. Now, the actors and writers strike in Hollywood. And it's super sad, because I know a lot of these writers and actors feel like they have no other choice, and they're losing a lot of money doing this, but they have to stand up for what they think is the future that's coming to get them in regards to AI and all the streaming services and all the ways that their jobs are going to be taken away by technology. So I see that the production companies, when I got into their energy, they have a lot of money, and they're willing to they're willing to fight this, because they see the future as, they're protecting their future. And for them, the future is changing. Well, it's changing for everybody, but they see the change, and they see the ways that they can make more money. And so can the writers. So the studios and the production companies are standing their ground. And I think that they will make small changes. I think there will be a resolution, and I think this is how it's going to go. The writers are ready. They're at their edge. They're ready to, I know these people haven't met for some sort of reconciliation or resolving the strike, but the writers are ready to. I can sense that they're almost ready to, or they are. And then the studios, I think, are willing to give them some money now. Not a lot, but they're going to raise their rates as time passes. So they're going to give them incremental rates. They're going to promise them a percentage of something as time goes on. But I think what the studios and the production companies are counting on is these technologies to take over some of the writing, and these technologies to increase revenue on streaming and other ways that productions and movies and TVs are going to be channeled to us. It's changing dramatically. So I think they're counting on that happening, so they don't eventually have to pay those writers the higher rates. They're just kind of an appease them till now. And I didn't feel the actors they're struggling too, but the writers seem to be, and I don't know why they have more money, but the feeling is that I got the writers are the more struggling of everybody. So there will be a change, there will be a shift, but they're going to get some of what they want, but the companies are giving them this rate increase over time, which I think they're betting that they're going to have different technologies and it won't change. I mean, it'll change the status quo, so they won't have to do what they promised they would do. Sad. Life in our times. All right, Mr. Happy Pants, Kevin McCarthy. He is, I don't know, he's so weak and has no courage. And Anyway, so when I got into his energy, or I saw an image, there's a cliff and he's standing here and Matt Gaetz is up here. I immediately saw Matt Gaetz dumping a burlap bag of ball bearings, but big giant ones, just pouring them on Kevin's head as he's standing below him on this cliff. And he's just taking it. He's just getting hit in the head, and these balls, I can imagine it just feels like they're heavy and really hard. I mean, metal ball bearings, and they're falling all around him, and he just takes it. And he doesn't crouch. He's standing there, but he just can take it. Then as he proceeds to move forward, what I got was the balls are all on the ground. These steel balls are all on the ground, and he can't walk. He's slipping and sliding all over them, and he's trying to, get his bearings, but he can't get them. So he's moving around, and he's having to slip and slide and go every which way. So he can't get grounded, and he can't find his way to get through. And as he's moving forward, I saw the dirt. So he's moving forward. This is him walking. So the dirt is like filling in behind him. So he's moving this way, but then the dirt is filling in as he's walking. So he can't go backwards. He has to go forward. So he's being corralled or limited really, really a lot in the way he can move. He cannot go this way. He can only go that way. And I also saw him from his perspective. I got into his energy or his body. And what I saw was him gambling or playing cards. I shouldn't say gambling. I just saw a lot of him dealing. So what I'm thinking is he's trying to make deals. And he was throwing cards out and really fast and kind of manically, like trying to go. And then he's in a sword fight. I know these are very random images, but if you guys can help me sort out what I'm seeing, that'd be great. But what I'm thinking is he's making deals. He's fighting with this sword because he's having to, and he's going forward. He's not in a backward stance where he's being defensive. He's literally going forward and just kind of fighting his way forward. So he's making deals and he's fighting his way forward. And then I saw 3 directions that he could go. Well, first he made a commitment to those items with the MAGA super right, super fringy, made him commit to when they said they voted for him to be speaker. And one of them was that they were going to impeach Biden. Anyway, so he said yes to that. But there's 12 items that McCarthy has not put forth as to change in the budget, in the reduction of taxes or induction of the deficit, which Trump was 4 times as much as any president there ever was. So I don't know why all of a sudden they decide the deficit is bad. That was those 12 items. It's kind of like cloud and fluffy stuff up here. He reduces it, or they do in this discussion, and they get down to the bottom like 2 or 3 that are dense, and they are immovable in these. So until they get some satisfaction on these specific line items, or they are really, sticking to their guns, they will, that's got to change. So I think he has 3 roads. I saw 3 different directions. Straight ahead was really bright and sunny, and it was long, and it was open and bright. This way was dark and grungy. I saw brown and heaviness, kind of dirty, like you're going through a moist cave or something, but very grimy. And then over here was something sort of in the middle, but it was really long and skinny. So I interpret it as the left, the middle, and the far right. That's how I think but the left is really long, and it would take him a long time to get out there. And I think he wants to go down the middle. That's the sunshine, happy place for him. But I don't think he's made a decision. What I saw, he's at this precipice. He's at this point where he's got to make one of those 3 choices. But he is fighting, but he is moving forward. He's not going backwards, and he's taken it. It's not a lot, and it doesn't look like he's going to give in easily. Yeah. So Jimmy Fallon, I looked into his energy, and my son always thought he was annoying, and I never really got the feeling that he was angry, but apparently he is. And he apologized for the toxicity at the toxic environment to his staff and people at the Tonight Show. But he apologized, and when I went into his energy and I saw from his perspective, I felt he's fine. He's going to get through it, and he apologized. And I think he truly meant it, but he also is angry. And I think he's covering up also another person who's irritated, on the verge of anger. And he's just going to go along, and he's not really going to fight about it at this point. He's going to commit to changing the environment so people are more relaxed. But at the same time, I think this is a short-lived... He had this strobe light. I don't know how to explain it, but it was almost like a person is freezing in on a viewpoint, and he was like, but we couldn't. It was like it's like very rapid, like a strobe effect, and I interpreted that as they didn't hear him, or he wasn't very effective. They couldn't see him, or he wasn't able to communicate clearly, or they didn't receive it clearly. The transmission was hesitant, repeated hesitancy. It was kind of an odd visual, but yeah, that's just the temporary apology for now. And I think he's got to change, and I don't know how much he's going to change. I don't feel like he's ready to make those big changes. I think he's just doing it to appease. And now finally, Alex Murdaugh and the possibility of a new trial. So when I got into Alex Murdaugh's body, I was in his cell, and I could hear the shh of his sandals on his feet, kind of dirt on concrete sounding. And I felt zero emotion. Zero. This man has no emotion, which I knew he was a murderer, but I didn't know that he felt like nothing. It was so weird. He feels nothing. He's very manic. He's in his head. He's constantly moving, going. And that's the energy I saw for him. And he's sniffling, he's making sniffling noises, but he's moving and he's sniffling, and he's going in and out of his cell. He's not staying in one spot. He's always moving. But he's also, surprisingly, unemotional, but super optimistic. Not in a, oh my God, the world is happy. It's more of, this is going to change. I can win. I can change my destiny. Very optimistic. He believes this is going to change. He sees it, which is super interesting. The contrast between unemotional and being it's like he lives in an alternate reality. That's the feeling I got. Now, when I went into the clerk's energy, or the court's energy, and I went into that. It's like a small town. We know it's a small town that this trial was held, and these people and his family that have for generations been the dominant family in town, the powerful family in town. But I saw that she was like, she didn't think she did anything wrong. I do think from his perspective, I saw that for sure she did something wrong, and she's talking and blah, 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 and coming out. But from her perspective, I saw that she thinks she just might have said a little thing here and a little thing there. And it's kind of like what you do in a small town. It's kind of like gossip, but it's not, even though she's legally required not to speak and not to coerce the jurors or impact them in any way or influence them in any way. I think she's impulsive too, and I think she couldn't help herself. So I think she said a couple little things. So I do think there's going to be a new trial. Yeah, I do think there's going to be a new trial. Now, when it comes to the murders themselves, I haven't ever gone into that moment, which is super horrible and scary and sad. But I saw him approaching his son, and I know from the murder scene, he was in the doorway of this barn room that they kept dog feed and stuff in it. And he was there. He got shot first, and then again, and the wife came running from one side, from the, I don't know where she was coming from. I don't remember, but she came running and he shot her. Well, the boy, he really hated Paul, his son. Can you imagine that? He really hated him because Paul had done all these things that put the family in jeopardy, and it changed the marriage situation, although Alec would have eventually blown it up anyway. It also lost them a lot of money because they had to pay these settlements, and Alec was so angry. He hated Paul. He hated his son. And it was just, he acted all like Paw and talked about him on the stand, but he really hated him. And when I did get in his energy, I saw him and he did love her. And he did love her as much as he could love a person, because he's kind of a sociopath or psychopath, maybe that's what that would be. But he saw that she came from a good family, and that made him love her. But she came running, and he had to shoot her too. And he planned that because he knew that he couldn't do one without the other. And what I saw was that he stripped his clothes off right away, because I know there was only 6 minutes between the time that Paul sent that video and when he left to go to the father's house. And Alec left to go to the father's house. And so in that 6 minutes, I think Alec planned. He had clothes tucked somewhere, stripped himself, any and all clothes, took everything off, and there was a hose, and I think he rinsed himself off as best he could. He wrapped it up, and he had his change of clothes, and then he went to the father's house, and then he hid this. I see it wrapped, the clothes and the guns. I think there was 2 guns, and he has them wrapped in a trash bag or something. And then he hid them when he went down there, and then he came back later because it was so loosey-goosey with that sheriff, law enforcement, whatever they were, that he could get in there again, and he found them. And I believe they're in some water or swampy area. I think the guns are for sure. The clothes he might have burned or buried, something like that. I hate to end it on that, but let me know if you like this current event stuff, or if you'd rather me do just astrology, or I do my shorts daily for spiritual messages, if that's all you want to see. Let me know. I really appreciate some feedback. Until next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Press the button right here so every time I come out with a new video, you'll be the first to get it.